Hi guys, long time no see. Ah, I have been having the craziest life, okay? And now I have to tell you a story about it. Because I feel like I lived a prophecy, and today I just had that feeling like, okay, I have to talk about it. It was crazy. So this is the story. I'm just gonna tell you the story, okay? So we're just hanging out. I'm gonna tell the story. So, about a month ago, I woke up and decided that I needed to wean my baby. And she's not really that much of a baby anymore. She's almost 18 months. And um, that I wanted to go on a trip for the weekend alone. And my plan was just be like completely by myself. And I asked my husband, he said yes. I was like really excited to go by myself. And then I had this thought. I thought, okay, well, you know what? Okay, what if I brought one person with me? And I said, okay, God, if I brought just one person with me, who should it be? And I clearly heard this name in my mind. I'll just tell you, it's Jamie Hepworth. She's on Facebook, very wonderful person to follow. And I wasn't really friends with her. I'd read her star chart once, and I follow her. I love the stuff that she writes, everything. She has meme Mondays, which are fun to look at, check out all the memes. I never participate, but I lurk and read all the memes. And so I just said, okay, God, that was really strong. I felt it so strong. So I reached out, asked if she wanted to go with me, and she agreed. And so we went, we had this crazy trip. So much crazy stuff happened. And I should probably talk about some of it. One interesting thing was that we met one of the only cyborgs in the whole world, real life cyborg. Okay, there's only two. We met the only woman cyborg in the whole world. She sat next to Jamie on the plane. Can you believe this? And she literally has a robotic arm that is implanted into her bone and is controlled with her brain. She runs her arm with her brain. It's crazy town. And she's called Wichita's Bionic Woman on Facebook. So you can find her little Facebook page. And she's just incredible. What a fabulous woman. And it was really exciting because many years ago, I was reading about phantom pain, and I figured that it was an energetic problem, and so I suspected that I could probably fix it energetically. And she let me try on the airplane, and it was just an incredible experience. And then later she told me that when she removed her arm, she takes it off to sleep, that she didn't feel the phantom pain. And normally she would. And so it was so exciting. Hooray. So super excited. I need to make an amputation session and work on all of the amputated energies and clear all the phantom pain. I was just so thrilled that this worked. What an honor. Ah, working on phantom pain for the world's only cyborg woman. Hooray. One of two. This is amazing. One of two cyborgs in the whole planet. Incredible. So anyway, this is the story that I wanted to tell you. So we did our fun weekend. We get on our plane to leave, and our plane out is supposed to leave at 7 o'clock. I'm trying to think, is this correct? It doesn't matter. The exact times don't really matter. But it was supposed to leave, let's say it was supposed to leave at 7. And but then it did not. And so we were all just sitting there waiting to board until finally it they let us on, and they said, I bet you're wondering why you're not boarding. And it's because the crew forgot to clean the cabin. And we're all sitting there like, who forgets to clean the cabin? Like, what does that mean? Like, what? So finally, they let us on maybe 20 minutes after they were supposed to. And then we sit there on the tarmac for 45 minutes. Okay. And our layover in Dallas Fort Worth was only 1 hour. So we missed, like, we went into our flight. And by the time our flight took off, we knew we were missing our connection to Salt Lake City. And so I texted, the people that were going to help me get us picked up and everything. And I'm like, we're not going to make it in time. Okay, so we have our flight. And then we arrive in Dallas Fort Worth, which is massive. It's a huge airport. And we're in terminal, I don't know, whatever. And we have to go several terminals over. And on this little plane, on the little train, you have to go all the way around the long way to get to where we needed to go. And at this point, it's what, 11, it's like 10:45 at night. But as soon as the plane lands, I get a ding on my phone that our second flight has been uh delayed. And we think, oh my gosh, we're gonna make it. We book it. We like run off of this plane, kind of. First off, everybody on the plane, they're like everyone, we have some people that desperately need to make their connections. Please, if you don't have any connections, sit down and let the other people pass. Did anyone listen? No, not a one. Not one person listened. Everyone just left in order. We were like at the back of this, at the back of the plane. So nobody cared about the plight of all the people that were gonna miss their connection. And then we got out, desperately ran. We're like out of breath. We're booking it, and we totally miss our flight. We show up and the doors are closed, and it's like flight closed. Like this is closed. And it's 11 o'clock at night. I mean, it's like 10:50. Okay. And so we are just absolutely floored. And we like get all these flight attendants to come and help us and try and get this flight open again, and they can't do it. I mean, like it's done. There's no hope for us. And so we walk over to the customer service area where now we're the second people in line, which is great because by the time we're done, this line goes all the way back. And they've had to get like 4 other agents to come and help because everyone missed their flight. Like all these people had missed their flights. And so we get to the front of the line, and they issue us, I mean, it takes forever, but they issue us hotel vouchers, taxi vouchers, food vouchers. Okay, just for the hotel and food and taxi right there in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. And then they say that our flight, the only flight that we can take, is going to leave at 5:15 a.m. So remember, it's now 11 o'clock at night. If we're going to board this next flight, if it leaves at 5:15, it's going to board at 4:45. If we're going to get there an hour or two early to get through everything, you know, like if we say we just are going to put forth an hour, we want to be there an hour early. Well, we've now got to be there by what, 3:45 in the morning, but we're gonna have to take a taxi from the airport, from the hotel, and we would have to taxi to the hotel. That we're not gonna taxi to a hotel to get to sleep for like 3 hours and carry all of our stuff with us. Like we're not going to do that. And so we opted to spend the night in the airport. And so okay, so as they are deciding which flight that we're going to take to get back to Salt Lake City, all of our options land at 11 a.m. in Salt Lake City. One option lands at 11:11 a.m. in Salt Lake City. So we pick our flight, the 5:15 flight to Chicago, so then we can fly again to Salt Lake City and get there at 11. And I'm texting my husband and I put it in my phone, or like I pick up my phone and it's 11:11 and it's September 11th. Okay, important. And so I took a screenshot and I was like, we're okay. I was like, it's okay, we're okay. And so Jamie and I went into the airport and we sat down in a place that was kind of like cozy. It was a little bit darker than the other places. And we look up and we're sitting right in front of a 7-Eleven. And right on top of it is 7-Eleven's logo. And it says, "Oh, thank heaven." Okay. And we're sitting there like, what? Because we were sitting there praying, like literally, we were like, okay, Heavenly Father, help us to get through the night, help us to get back to Salt Lake. Please help us to, you know, figure out what's going on with us. Like, are we cursed? Like, why are we stuck here? Like, please send us the messages and help us to understand why this is happening to us. Why did this happen? You know? And so we were like saying this prayer, we open our eyes basically, and it's like 7-Eleven, oh, thank heaven. We're like, thank you, God, for this chance to be stuck in the airport overnight. Super excited. Like, thank you, God. Man, but okay. And so I have to say, we were flying on American Airlines. Okay. So this is what happened. So for the next 3 hours, Jamie and I sat in front of 7-Eleven and we just journaled because we had a million crazy things happen to us, like meeting the Bionic Woman and like all this crazy stuff. That's like the tip of the iceberg, you know? And so we just journaled for like 3 straight hours, like joint journaling, where we just made a list of everything that we need to journal about in the future. We didn't even write complete sentences, bullet journaling for like 3 hours. And then we around like 1:30 or 2 in the morning, we were getting hungry. I mean, right away we were getting hungry and all of the restaurants were closed, right? We have all these restaurant vouchers, right? And we got Starbursts at the vending machine. And And then we were still hungry. And so fortunately at 2 a.m, the 7-Eleven opened. And so we went and got like kind of real snacks. Like they had, like salami and cheese in a little like Lunchable kind of situation and stuff like that. Little fruit bowls. But we tried to use our vouchers. And the lady said, oh, these vouchers don't work. They only work in the restaurants. You can't really use them here. And we're like, this is the only place that's open. We were here, we're stuck here because American Airlines failed us, and they gave us this voucher for food and we can't even spend it. We can't even spend this voucher. And she said, yeah. And then we spent, an obscene amount of money on like stupid airport food. Airport food has always been super expensive, and now it's like even more expensive. So we go back, finish our journaling for a while, and then we decide okay, it's time to make it to our gate. So we gather up all of our belongings and we head over to the first elevator that we see, because we know that the rail or whatever is on the next story up. So we get on the elevator and we go up and we open the door, and it's an empty restaurant and there's no way out. It's just like an elevator only to a restaurant. And so we're like, okay, so we go down. By the way, one of the restaurants right there was called the Flying Saucer, which was interesting because we were like talking so much about aliens, like weirdos. So anyway, then we saw an escalator nearby. And so we kind of booked it over to the escalator. It's off. The escalators are all off now because it's 3 a.m. And so, so we carry all of our super heavy stuff because we only brought carry-ons, and we bought like so much stuff, dude, like a lot of it. And so, but it's all stuffed into our carry-ons. And so they weigh each about 2 bajillion pounds. And so we're carrying up these heavy carry-ons all the way up this tall escalator. We get to the top, and it is just a platform with a door, and the door is locked, and we don't even know where the door goes, but it's like, I don't know, a service person's escalator that, like, it was literally like the size of the desk that I'm sitting at, like the platform that it landed on. Like the platform was big enough for the two, like an up escalator, a down escalator, and then on the far end it was a door, and that was it. So we just climbed all the way up with all of our stuff to find out that we were at another dead end, and now we had to go all the way back down. And we were sitting there and walking and just thinking like, oh my gosh, like what is this? Like, what is happening? And we just had this strange feeling come over us, like we're living something very strange right now. Like we are experiencing a message. And so we're wandering, looking for the way out, and we finally see an escalator and it's off. But as we walk towards it, like it magically turns on. It's like I don't know, it's like 3:30, and it's like, oh, at 3:30 a.m. we turn all of everything back on. So seriously, I mean, it was probably like 10 feet away from the escalator. We walk within 10 feet of it and it suddenly turns on. And so we're able to get on this escalator and go on up the stairs, or like up the escalator up to the place where the tram is to take us to our next place in the little like airport that we have to go to and to get to our flight. And so we get up there and we've gotten there just in time. We have 3 minutes, and it's like 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute until your tram arrives. Then like ding, it's there. And we like get on this tram, and then we keep on going to the place that we have to go, the gate or whatever that we're going to. And it was at that point that we both sat there and looked at each other on this tram and said, I think we're living a prophecy. I think we're living a prophecy. And I talked to my mom about it afterwards. She said, that was not a prophecy, it was an allegory. But I still think it might have been a prophecy, but you will ask for yourself, because we felt like it was very true for us, but you'll have to see if it feels true for you. Because this is what happened, right? American Airlines forgot to do its job, right? And that delayed our flight, which made us miss our connection, really. And what did they do to make it up to us? They give us a housing voucher, transportation voucher. They give us food vouchers. right? For our housing, our transportation, and our food, they're going to cover it. They're going to pay for it. And how lucky for us, because we could only possibly use that housing for 3 total hours. And we didn't even bother trying to figure out the taxi situation. But then, of course, in the airport itself, all the transportation was off. All of the electricity was off to the transportation that we needed to use, you know, um and yeah, the food, they gave us money for food and then we couldn't spend it, you know, and it didn't matter how much money we had in our hand. The only food available, you couldn't buy it with that money. You know, you had to buy it with what you came with. And we sat there and just felt like, wow, like we have experienced kind of a crazy little roller coaster here. And the thing that I loved was at the very end of this journey, as we've been sitting there, having been deceived by American Airlines's vouchers, you know, their financial provision for us that actually was completely counterproductive and, you know, deeply unhelpful, right? When we got to the escalator where we really needed to be at, suddenly the electricity turned on. And then we were able to rest and we were just carried to our destination. 3, 2, 1, we're on the tram and we're carried to our destination. So this was my takeaway from this, because I do personally, oh man, I left my book upstairs. I've been reading this great book since I got back. I didn't start it before we left, but since we got back, it arrived while I was gone. I ordered it from the internet. And it's called The End of the World is Just the Beginning by some guy. So I'll find it for you. There it is. So let's share. Share. The End of the World is Just the Beginning, Mapping the Collapse of Globalization. And it makes a very compelling case that we are going to see the collapse of globalization. Actually, it has already begun. And honestly, like I have a real life friend who's actually kind of like a bigwig at a bank, like a big bank that you've probably heard of. And one of my mutual friends with this person asked, she said, like, how long do you think it will be until we recover from COVID? And this was, by the way, about a year ago that this conversation took place. And he was just like, we're never going to recover. We flushed the toilet. Everyone is circling around the drain, you know, and that's about where we are because of a couple different reasons, you know. I mean, geez, there's a lot of reasons, but this book that The End of the World is Just the Beginning, he talks about the intersection of geography plus demography, which I have been obsessed with demographics since I was about 15 years old. I was picked to be one of the 2 students involved in this National Youth Leadership Forum from my state. And it's like Model UN, except it's with 2 kids from each state, and then we role play like a domestic political situation. So in our situation, like a nuclear warhead had gone missing, and you know, I was the Senate Majority Leader running for president against the incumbent president of the opposite party. And so we had like this, you know, party intrigue going on, like trying to not make sure the world doesn't end in nuclear war, all of this stuff. But one of the big things we talked about was demographics and the problems that the world faces because of how many kids people have or don't have, basically. And so one of the big problems is that, I mean, in our role play, one of the problems was that, I mean, it just came back to demographics. You know, Western nations have this inverted pyramid where we have a lot of older people who have had fewer children, and we just have a handful of people at the bottom trying to sustain this entire pyramid, right? A great example of this is Social Security. Sorry, I'm just going to like wing it now. Now I've gotten myself started. So here you go. My obsession with Social Security. Crazy about it since I was 12. Read all the books about it. Oh man, I'm such a weirdo, such a weird 12-year-old, guys. But I was crazy about it because when Social Security first started, there were, I believe, 16 people paying in for every one beneficiary who received. And of course, one was the retirement age, 65. Now there's only 2 to 1 people paying in for every person who is receiving benefits. And guess what? As of 2019, there were more retirees than children under 5 on the planet. Like more people over 65 than children under 5 on this entire planet. So how is my little 5-year-old supposed to pay for all of us as we age into that zone and retire? And how am I supposed to pay for it at the end of next year when most of the baby boomers retire? And then my generation is on the hook to pay for them, but it will be at a rate of less than 2 to 1. I mean, it will be 1 to 1. I'll have to support myself and one other person, like, and my children. I mean, it becomes crazy. Another interesting thing to note, of course, is that when the retirement age was set to 65 back in what, 1917, I think, the average life span, the life expectancy was 63. And so if they had, been raising the retirement age with life expectancy, now you could not retire until you were like 87. So that, and I think that would solve a lot of problems. I mean, I think that I would help balance the budget, certainly. Nobody wants to be working until they're 83 for sure, but this inverted pyramid is really a problem. But the problem was in our simulation, of course. I mean, this was shortly after 9/11, Islamofascism was the hot topic, and one of the problems that they would talk about was that in the Western world, most women were having fewer than 2 children, which means we're below replacement rate. And once you dip below 1.8 on a, societal level, you enter a demographic winter and you cannot come back. It's called the lowest low, or the point of no return. And guess what? The Western world is here. Like, it's too late. We're already in demographic winter and we're just starting to see it. Labor shortages, anybody, like, there's not enough young people to take all the jobs that the old people are leaving behind as they retire. And there is no solution for that. Like, there are not enough humans. They did not produce enough humans to take over these jobs. And so, to bring it back to the end of the world is just the beginning, he just points out that without all the consumers, there's not like all of the underlying factors for globalism. Like, why does it make sense to have globalism? It makes sense because of our demography and the makeup of the humans that are alive on the planet, and but the thing is that with these dwindling generations, as we hit that lowest low, of course globalism has to collapse as far as economics goes, because there's just not going to be the consumers driving the need. The supply and demand is going to be messed up because there won't be the demand, and there also won't be the supply because there won't be people to create the supply. There won't be people to want the demand, right? So we're on the brink, and it's already happened. It's already here, and we're just seeing it begin to play out right now. We're living on the very brink of it. And it is already happening, and it's just, do you have eyes to see it or not? And so anyway, all of that is to say that I have just personally felt like I personally will see a point in America's timeline where maybe we will be without electricity. Maybe we will be full of housing vouchers and free taxis and also free food, except everything's closed. And also, if you want to use that housing, it's going to be really far away, and we can't guarantee you're going to get there and get back in time, and you can only be there for 3 hours. It just felt so symbolic. But at the other end of it, as we were so exhausted from dragging our stuff everywhere, we got to the bottom of that escalator and it just turned on, and we were just carried to our destination. And I left that experience just feeling like, okay, we're going to, I don't know, it just felt like this big witness to me. Like, I think I will see with my own eyes the things that I have seen in my mind's eye for many years. But I feel like it will be okay, and that we can be led by God, and that yes, it might be extremely frustrating because that is how it felt. It just felt so frustrating to be hungry and have nothing open, and we have to eat disgusting Starbursts. Sorry if you like them, like, you, like, blah. And then, you know, the 7-Eleven won't take our little hotel, our airport voucher, and all the rest of it. I mean, it was so frustrating to go up the elevator and come back down and the elevator to nowhere, and to carry all of our stuff all the way up the mountain of this escalator just to find that it's a literal dead end. There is no way out. The doors are all locked, and we have to go back down and retrace our steps. And then carry our heavy stuff even further to find our real destination. And I don't know, that was just the sense that I got, was we looked at each other and we thought, wow, we're experiencing a prophecy as women would experience it in our bodies. Women as embodied beings, creating bodies for others and being fully in our bodies. Of course, this would be the kind of experience that we would have in our bodies, to have our physical bodies be hungry, exhausted, cold. It was like stupidly cold in there at one point. Um, and having to be physically dragging our stuff. And I mean, it was just such an embodied experience and so symbolic. American Airlines, and so I just felt like I wanted to share it with you. I don't know, make of it what you will. It's my real life experience. Was it symbolic? Am I just a crazy person? I don't know. I guess we'll find out soon enough, won't we? So we'll just see. But if we do find out that at some point American Airlines lets us down, fills us up with false promises, forgets to clean up, and then issues us a bunch of worthless money that cannot buy us anything, and leaves us stuck having to walk hither and yon, searching for the way out. If that happens, I just want you to remember this story and remember how you will get within 10 feet of that escalator and it will turn on and take you to the proper destination. That is the thing that I want to remember in those moments of my life in the future where I feel like everything that I try is coming to a dead end. I can go to dead end after dead end after dead end. I can be exhausted, hungry, cold, miserable, and I can see a miracle that will take me to my destination. It can carry me literally, and all of the things that I have with me, I can be carried to where I need to be. So maybe that story will stick with you too. I don't know, but I just felt this night like I really just wanted to share it. So thank you for listening, and I feel like a little bit silly sharing it because I don't know, maybe it's silly, but to me it wasn't silly. And so thank you guys, and I hope that you have an incredible day. Bye.